I never heard the tagline for this movie when it came out. And
I still don't even know what the tagline is for this movie.
Don't set him off.
Ooh. That kind of follows my favorite quote from Dark City. At the tagline of that is, "They built the city to see what makes us tick, and last night one of us went off."
That's clever. That's actually clever. Not so much this. It's like they gave him that name just for that fucking slogan.
I like this movie though.
Yes, there's nothing to not like about this movie. I had one horrific fucking revelation about it, but otherwise, I still greatly enjoyed this flick.
Right on.
Yeah.
What flick are we talking about, yo? Screamers. We're talking about John Wick #1. I know some of you will say just John Wick Chapter 1. I don't know. I don't care. John Wick it is. Keanu Reeves is making a comeback.
Yeah.
Or made a comeback, I should say.
Was this a comeback, or was this just like, here, this is where you belong? You've been doing all this neat shit over here for a while, but no, this is where you belong over here, and everyone's going to love you for the rest of your life. As long as you don't end up like Bill Cosby or Uncle Joey or some crazy shit.
And he won't, because Keanu Reeves is much loved. He's a great guy from all counts. Nobody has ever said a bad thing about him other than movie critics and movie fans for various reasons in various films. But dude's a legit nice guy. He's a good actor. This is about the time when like this movie finally clicked for him at his time in his life. He had the training from Matrix. He brought that to this role. They finally gave him a role that highlighted his strengths and hid his weaknesses, basically. And this movie just excelled from the word go. At first, you're like, I don't know. He just did 47 Ronin. That wasn't really that great. I don't know about this. This movie snuck up on freaking even me. I didn't even see this. So this came out on like years later on Blu-ray. Chapter 3 was already out by the time I finally saw John Wick Chapter 1. What does that tell you?
Huh.
Yep. Well, I was really late to this party, but I did see Chapter 4 in the theater, and that was awesome.
I want to say we came in at Chapter 2.
Oh, you came in earlier than I did then. Okay.
Yeah, but we didn't see it in the theater. I remember seeing the trailer for it here and there, but
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, really not much. And then we watched it and we were both kind of like, "Whoa, that's balls out cool." And it really is.
Yeah.
The first time you watch it.
Yeah, there's things where parts 2 and 3, the exaggeration starts to kick in. And we'll get into those as we cover that, because John Wick is 0-Point month for us, and we're doing all 4 of them. So buckle up, y'all.
I'm excited. I haven't seen 3 or 4 yet. I like the first 2.
I really like all of them for different reasons. And I think 4 they're not going to end with Chapter 4, unfortunately, but it's like the best way you could end this franchise, in my opinion. But Chapter 5 was announced, and they're doing the Continental TV show, which is kind of a prequel to this whole universe. I don't know if we get a baby Baba Yaga John Wick or what, but it's clearly set years before John Wick, and they got Mel Gibson in it. So we're kind of debating if we're going to cover that on our YouTube series. We will see about that.
Mel's going to be in the Continental?
Yep, the TV show. He's technically, I don't know for sure. I'm just judging this based off the trailer, but he was essentially the role of the owner, management of the Continental at the time. But then there's like an overtaking of the management. New management takes over.
Oh, hopefully that's Winston, because I like him much more than.
I believe that is what that is. I am not sure. So nobody's seen the show yet, except maybe some high-level people except us. Hey, put us on that list, yo.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching it. Now,
yeah.
Before we get too far and I forget, and we are talking about the Continental, I just want to say Lance Reddick was supposed to be in it, I think. Did they film any of his scenes? Do you know?
I don't know. He might have for the Ballerina, which is a spin-off sequel, and you'll understand what Ballerina means by the end of the month.
That's not like the Red Room in Black Widow, is it?
No.
No. Well, still, it sounds cool. I'm excited.
Ballerina is largely based off of a character in the fourth movie, and that is going to be awesome. And John Wick does appear in that, from what we've been told about that, because it's in between chapter 3 and 4. It sounds like.
Oh. You know, from what I'm hearing and piecing together, because again, I haven't seen 4, but I've heard he doesn't survive through the credits, what have you. It's going to be like,
Allegedly.
oh, okay. So it's like The Gray, where you're kind of like, oh, it's open to interpretation.
Depending on your viewpoint, it could be either very conclusive or not conclusive at all. It's Schrodinger's ending for John Wick. Or we're going to dub that now a John Wick ending. Is he dead or is he not dead? That is the question. Both can exist at the same time. Because the first one, just to circle back, how this movie begins is you think he's dying. And the way the movie ends, he's not.
He's not. No, that's true. This flick, though, I mean, I like that they start at the beginning. Like they promise you some shit's gonna happen, and most movies would not make do with that promise, but this flick really does. Like, he takes that beating that you see at the first beginning, and he looks like hell ran over.
Yeah.
And he issues out an enormous beating upon the world, but he takes quite a beating himself.
Oh yeah, I've never seen Keanu Reeves take so much of an ass kicking in a movie since Johnny Mnemonic. And I say mnemonic when I know it's mnemonic.
It sounds cooler the other way. Mnemonic. Like knife.
True.
Knife. Knudsen. That just 0-pointed me, and I had something relevant to say about the movie and Keanu.
And you are welcome.
Thank you. God damn it. Totally lost it. I lost it.
You know, honestly, the movie is centered around Keanu, and if it wasn't for him, I don't know if this movie would have worked, because it not only did such a great job that it created a wonderful franchise, it created like another movie called Nobody that has the guy from Better Call Saul, Bob Odenkirk, in it. And that's from the same creators. And loosely, people or fans have interjected that maybe it's a shared universe, maybe not. And, you know, we're getting a TV show, and you got stunt coordinators that are getting full involvement in these movies, and everybody gets a say in these movies, and it shows across the screen. Like, there's a beautiful, wonderful world here that's being realized. And yes, it's very exaggerated. And as the movies go on, it just gets completely, what the hell is this world? But I think this fully showcases Keanu, and he can carry a franchise. Say what you will about The Matrix, but this franchise is Keanu, and there is such a heart and charm to this whole franchise that started with this movie. This movie, say what you will about the sequels, I think this is the best John Wick movie, because it's crisp, it's to the point, and it launched everything.
Yeah. I mean, it ends in a way where you kind of figure there's going to be a sequel. There could
be.
So,
you hope so, but you don't know for sure, because it was actually a few years before we got a second one.
Was it? Oh, I guess it was. I don't even remember this being in 2014. Like, my kid hadn't even born yet.
God damn.
I asked Brandy, I'm like, where the fuck were we when this shit came out? I guess trying to make
like, I was with my horrible ex, you were with your horrible ex, then we finally met, and now now we got kids.
Now everything's fine now, ish.
Yep. All is right in the world.
because I've got a whole other list of problems.
Yep. But it's a fun movie. I have so much fun watching John Wick. When we decided to do this, I'm like, I can't wait to get to this month.
Well, my wife was super excited because she wanted to watch it with me. And I said, well, you're probably not going to want to watch it with me the first time I watch it. And she's like, well, how many times are you going to watch it? I said, well, if you want to watch it twice. Otherwise, I just watch it once. Yeah. And she says, well, why wouldn't I want to watch it with you? And I'm like, because it takes me 6 hours to view a movie. and she didn't quite understand. Like, she's like, are you just sitting there smoking weed and doing nothing all fucking day? And I'm like, no, I'm actually studying the film, looking stuff up, taking images, lots of goddamn images. I only use a third of that shit.
Exactly.
Try to think of things for the show as I'm watching the movie. I don't just sit and enjoy the movie. Who fucking does that?
I do. But I also take notes.
You have luxury and time. And actually, I took more notes than I thought I was going to in this episode. Really did.
Dude, yo, full page of notes right here.
Woo-hoo! A full page of notes. I write like a third grader too, so it's like, it's pretty big, but I've got like 5-6 pages
but the
of notes.
Question is, are you smarter than a third grader?
No.
And that's why you're my co-host.
I've got one, I know, and my kid's like, no, Dad, that's not true.
And the dad jokes begin.
Yeah. But this movie, the franchise, the first movie, how would you describe this film? Like, what really is it about?
It's about lost hope for somebody, because he goes through the loss of his wife. He left his job so he could be with his wife who was dying, and when she dies, he's ready to like just call it quits. There's no indications about like anything like suicide like that, but he's alone. He's having a hard time grieving, and within a day or two of his wife dying, he gets a puppy. The last gift from his wife. He says it so in the movie, like, I got this gift from my wife days after she died. I could now finally grieve, not by myself. And this dog is a symbol of hope for me from my dead wife. And you've now taken that from me. I can't grieve. So now you're going to pay for what you just did to me. You robbed what I had left in this world from me. And now you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because he had to take it out on something. And that was his creative event. And he creatively knows how to kill people.
That you were absolutely right. And there's this moment where he's cleaning up a mess. We won't get to that just yet. And he's like, fuck it. He knows exactly what to do, knows what needs to be done. But to your point, this movie is like high intensity grieving. It's really what it is.
Oh, and it's fresh. This is not like months or weeks or years later. This is days after she's buried.
Yeah, and it's just starting to realize that. And it starts with the bed. There's spaces that his wife had in the house that are going to be empty and unused now, like all her makeup in her side of the sink in the bathroom. And you get that as a husband or a spouse. Like, eventually that's the case for all of us, maybe. So yeah, there were some really heavy tones in the beginning of this movie, and then they give this dog, Daisy, that's got the cutest eyes here. Like, I love this dog. And he didn't want nothing to do with her at first. Like,
he's like, oh, great.
Yeah. And she's weaseled her way into his heart just because dogs are love. They truly are that. And like you said, yeah, this is a physical embodiment that she gave to him to say, you aren't without love still. You still can love something. because John's
Yes.
soul was going to be gone without her. He had nothing left
Exactly.
to love.
Right. It's the only thing that kept him grounded from the work he was doing. Having his wife, she's now gone. Now he's got the dog and he's retired. So, okay, maybe I can find some normalcy in my life now.
Yeah. And, and he starts taking the dog to do the things that he likes to do with him. Like,
Yeah.
Going out and peeling out crazily in the airport.
That was awesome. I would totally do that if I had a boss car like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you see all these commercials where they're doing some crazy ass Batman turns, and on the bottom of the screen it says in subtitles, "Closed track, do not try this at home." Well, John's got an entire fucking airport
to go freaking balls out on that crap.
Yeah, and when you see cars, sports cars that are owned by elderly people that have too much money, and you see them getting onto the freeways at like 30 miles an hour when it's 60, those people shouldn't have cars like that necessarily.
They should have their license revoked.
Sort of, or just been like, you know what, you need to take this car here for X amount of hours out of the year if you're gonna drive this bad motherfucker.
Here's a hot take. If you're over like the age of 20 and you get any sort of muscle car, if you drive it under the speed limit, motherfucker, get off the road. What the fuck are you doing buying a goddamn muscle car like that? It ain't for Sunday easy driving. It's for going fucking crazy. So get off the fucking road. And that's legit.
Well, see, and I thought he got his car back. And he didn't.
Chapter 2.
Does he get it back in 2?
Yes, he does. And boy, does he use that fucking car. Hey, if you wanted a PG review, you're on the wrong channel, yo.
That's true. And the bad guy that they have for this little Russian kid, the Nepo baby, I like to call him, bitch boy, starts out here wanting the car and thinking he's going to be cool and speak Russian in front of the fucking white guy. Everything's got a price, bitch. And you feel that in the back of your head, like, excuse me, motherfucker? And then John responds in Russian, not this bitch.
And for Game of Thrones fans, that's Theon Greyjoy right there. Young Theon, prick of the highest nature in Game of Thrones.
So he's a prick in that too, huh?
Oh, yeah. I never knew he was in this until the first time I ever saw this movie. And I'm like, oh, they got a nice prick for this movie. They did for most of the sequels, actually. But that took the cake for me. And he does a really good Russian accent. I'm not Russian. I'm just saying he played the Russian part very well. Pompous ass. And boy, does he fuck up, because all of us at this moment in time, we're kind of just watching this as part of the audience, like, who is this John Wick? Because, he goes off, the other Russian guy's like, hey, thank you, sir, you have a good day. Then they later, and as we follow the movie along, we're like, wait, who is this fucking guy? Why is everybody like backpedaling from him? And this one little prick's like, nah, fuck that, I want his car. And then as you go along with the movie, you're like, who is this freaking guy? And then as you get to the spot where he smashes the concrete in his basement to unveil his large gun collection and large money collection, and you get the story of who John Wick is. He's the guy you send to kill the boogeyman. It's like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Because up until this point, you're like, what the fuck is this movie about? Because if you never saw the trailer, I never saw the trailer the first time I saw this. I just got the Blu-ray because it was super cheap on Amazon. $5. Took me a couple years to get around to see it. Then I see it and I'm like, what the fuck movie? And then the second that happened, from that point to the end of the movie, it's like, I can't wait to see that motherfucker get his head shot. You killed the freaking dog. You, sir, are going to get a right place in hell after you get your ass kicked. And we got that ass kicking in this movie.
Yeah, there was it took a while, but he got his. He truly did. And because yeah, they were just nepotistic pricks. Like everything was always
Yep.
handed to him, so he was spoiled as shit and didn't take anything for like he didn't take anything seriously. Like it was just a fucking dog, just a fucking this, just whatever. Like why should I be in trouble for it? And nepo babies are like that. But
Yep.
again, they committed that crime for most moviegoers that you don't want to see in real life, in the movies, what have you. So, audience, find your happy place because we're going to talk about the fact that they beat the shit out of John Wick and they kill his fucking dog and they leave him sitting there busted up to shit with this poor dead dog to cuddle. And he has to bury it, come to terms with what's happening, and then has that moment of rage where you, like you said, maybe he is coming back. Just dips his toes in the water.
I'm just going to take care of this one problem and then I'm back out. But by the time you get to the point of the dad being like, I know my son's a fuck up and you killed him. Unfortunately, now I have to kill you. And it's like,
Yes.
and then while they're torturing him, what's really funny is however they built that scene, the sound, the visuals, everything, you could feel the blood boil in your veins as he's like, everybody's been saying or asking if I'm back, and I've not really answered that. But right now, I thinking I'm back. And in that instant, you're like, oh, we're about to go next level up in this bitch, aren't we? And we do. But it takes a moment because they make you think, oh, he's getting suffocated because Vigo leaves and they start suffocating him. Then his buddy Marcus takes care of one of the guys, and from that point on to the end of the movie, it's all out crazy.
Yeah, like he just needed that one hand. And it wasn't even the right hand.
Exactly. Because he signs with his left hand through the movie, so he's very left-handed.
He's very left-handed. That scene was
That's
cool.
not a comment. That's legitimately he's left-handed in this movie.
Oh, that's kind of neat. I didn't like that scene. I mean, I did, but I didn't. I didn't like Vigo in that scene because he's supposed to be afraid of John, but once they get him all tied up, like his balls come back, and he's like mocking him, straight up mocks him, Bobby Yaga. Like the voice in my head went, he's gonna die slow. But he doesn't.
Yeah. No, what how I look at that is, at that moment I felt like, am I watching the Dolph Lundgren Punisher? Because that bad guy betrayal at the end is not all that great with the mafia guy. But then a few moments later, he's like, I know what I'm screwing up. I know I'm screwing up here. I'm going to try and take him out, and hopefully I survive. So he's just kind of acting more off of instinct than off of actual intelligence. Because then later he kills Marcus, but he knows full well, like, I know this is just another domino on the trail. Like, this is a back and forth. And then ultimately, when John tracks him down when they're trying to get to the helicopter, dude is getting so bombed off drunk. I swear to God, he's like, I know I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna live it up until the very end. And it's like, it's almost like the guy had no confidence. So he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. It's just total fuck it. Because at the beginning of the movie, when he hears that his own son killed John Wick killed John Wick's dog, beat him up, and then stole his car, the look on his face was like, oh, we're all fucking dead, aren't we?
What? I found that
it is perfect, because then later he's like, you know what? We're fucking dead. That's it. Whatever. I'm gonna try and take him out if I can, but we'll see how well that works.
Well, I love the way he called John Leguizamo, like, I heard you struck my son. And like just totally gonna fuck up Leguizamo, and he's like, yeah, I did. He's like, well, may I ask why? Well, sir, he
stole John Wick's car.
Yeah, and killed his dog. And he just fucking turns around with this face like, oh.
Exactly. That look is like, ah, shit, we're all fucking dead. It's perfect. Like, I have got to give this movie like points. Like, it's so well. I gotta say, the writing is like really enjoyable, and the actors just nailed all the cues visually and verbally, like
Oh.
and the physicality, because you also have to emote with your body too. And he turns, he's like facing the city, like, yeah, I control this bitch, and then he turns around and he's like, oh fuck, I'm dead. It's perfect. It's like, oh shit, we fucked up, yo.
Like, you know how many times I've tried to kill this fucker?
We even had him on the fucking payroll.
We can't. That's why we just let him go.
We gave him an impossible
That
task.
was awesome.
He did it. He's done. And now you brought him back. Fuck, kid.
Yeah, we could have lived our lives happy, long lives. We could have fucked up plenty more other people's lives, run a lot more drugs through this town. But no. Nepo baby.
Nope, you just had to go fuck it up for the rest of us.
But at least the dad was smart, and he used the kid as bait to lure.
He did, actually.
To lure out John.
He thought it would work in his benefit, and it really didn't.
Well, the funny thing is they stick him in a bathhouse, and that sounds really hot, like no pun intended. But everyone's wearing clothes in this bathhouse. I'm like,
yeah.
Ooh, look at this. Who wears
the thing
clothes?
That's missing from this movie is it's a little too PG-ified when it comes to the nudity, because there's none.
It is.
It's a bathhouse.
The strobe lights made it look a lot cooler than what it actually was. The scenery was fucking dope. Not believable again, because everyone that worked there was wearing clothes. You know that doesn't happen that way. But dig this, once the violence starts and he gets into the house itself.
Oh my god.
Big fucking guy right here. He just blasts him right in the face.
He shoots him a few times.
Yeah. Twice in the chest, like once in each pectoral, and then blasts his fucking brains right out of his head.
Well, this is, they kind of made a visual joke out of it, like the one guy playing a video game in like the one house, and then he gets shot, and it's like you feel like you're watching a video game, because that's what you would do in a video game. You wouldn't just shoot the guy once; you'd shoot him 3 or 4 fucking times and make sure he's fucking dead. And it's like, I like this because it's showing an effectiveness of a gun use, even though it might be overkill. But that's what we do.
That is also true. And in that regard, not to 0.2 too far away, but if I ever get sick or in trouble, anything like that, make sure that's how I go. I want to get shot in the head randomly while I'm playing Call of Duty.
Is that the game he was playing? I didn't even catch that.
I don't think it was Call of Duty, no. But
hey, all of our gamer friends out there, if you're watching this review, please put a comment below. I don't know. I haven't looked it up, and I'm probably going to forget by the time we finish recording. But if you know the game that he was playing, even if it's just a made-up game, just let us know in the comments below what game they were playing.
Now, dig my man's head here on both sides. You can see the blood spatter going out the other way, and then the internal side. It's way fake. And of course, they're not going to blow his brains out. But right around here, I started noticing there's no real blood in this movie. There's no boobs, which is fine. There's no wang. Clearly, that guy used steroids, so there wasn't going to be any wang in general.
Yeah.
But it was very civilized to a point, and I'm not sure why, outside of the nature of the fact that it's just a violent movie, that it got a rated R film. I'm sorry, maybe because they said fuck more than 7 times.
I don't know.
I don't know, but this movie's rather tame for what it is. Like, I
For
did not
this
have.
particular movie, once you get to the other ones, they get a little more wild.
Did they get a bigger budget and just be like, you know what? Let's get some actual blood in here. Ah.
I don't know about actual blood, but my feeling on the blood for this movie was if it was CGI, if they had to like tone it down, they could easily go back into post and like tone it down digitally rather than having to reshoot something because you used a practical effect and it was too much.
Um,
I don't know if that's right. I'm just saying that's just my thought on that. Is like if they put it through the MPAA, their rating system, and they're like, hey, these 4 parts of the movie, there's a little too much blood. If you could shorten that up by a second, that'd be great. But for them, they'd probably be like, take a second off in post, take another second off here, or just reduce the amount of blood.
Yeah,
you could reduce the amount of blood that way and keep it tight. They do get, although there are times
yes,
like
it is easier
on
for
his
them
face
that
and
way.
whatnot. They do make that very clear. Like he is getting his ass kicked, and so are other people.
Yeah, he is.
My favorites are some of the car violence scenes where the cars actually hit people. Clearly, they're a bit CGI'd or stunted up or however they did that. And every time there's a car hitting somebody, it's like twice in this movie, puts somebody down. It took John Wick. It took a car to take out John Wick, and it took a car to take out the jackass assistant to Vigo at the end.
Yeah, but you know what? Like Dean Winters is the fucking coolest. I love him.
Yeah.
He's
I was like,
so
oh man,
awesome.
that's how you took him out? Fuck, man, that's brutal.
He didn't even want to be a part of this shit. Like he didn't want to be there when Vigo was beating the shit out of his kid. He didn't want to send the hit squad because it was going to cost him his men. He didn't want to go after this personal vendetta thing because it was not good for business. Like
he kept having this look of like, I'm really getting wrapped up into this shit. I don't want to be here. It's like, we got a business to run. What are we doing?
Kind of, and then it's constantly Vigo English. Jesus Christ!
I don't speak Russian, bro. It's super funny.
And the best part is he plays mayhem on the Progressive commercials or some insurance commercials.
You know,
it's like he is the
that's
narrator.
where I recognize him from. I'm like, holy shit! I didn't realize he went off to do the Progressive commercials.
He's awesome. But yeah, the scene where they kill him. Well, did he get shot in the head or did the car hitting him kill him? I want to say he got shot after the car hit him.
I think he got shot after the car hit him. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Like he was hanging on to the windshield and he got shot off of it. But sliding and hitting him.
Car got hit by the freaking truck that Vigo was driving.
Yes. But that was an awesome callback scene. Like, oh yeah, that's right. He could drive all fucking crazy and shit through the airport. He knows where everything's at. Aha! Yep.
You don't even realize it because it's nighttime, and you're like, "Where are they fucking at?"
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much basically it was the same airport, but the SUVs. They rammed so many fucking cars with these big ass Denali's and shit.
It was great, dude.
And it takes him with the fucking like assault shotgun to get everyone out of the car.
That was awesome. Like, oh, I freaking loved all the action in this movie.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily care for that part so much. It's like the dad rats out his son to save his own ass, which I get. You're a bad guy. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But John lets him go.
He lets him go as long as he cancels the contracted hit out on John Wick.
But he didn't, though. That was the shitty
Yes, he
thing.
did.
Did he?
Yes, he did. Because when he goes
to was still after him.
Says, you canceled the contract. He's like, yes, I did, but you had every opportunity before then to kill John Wick. And then at that point, Perkins was on his side, and they were going to use Perkins to potentially kill John Wick. But she got roped into a meeting with the Continental folks, and she got her own ass killed.
That was beautiful. And
I was not expecting that the first time I saw this movie. I was just like, what's going on? Oh, shit, she's dead.
Yeah, the first time I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, that is insane!" Like you screwed up, lady. The second time I saw this, I had to stop and say to myself, "Wait, stop the movie."
Uh-oh.
There are 4 people pointing at her. All it takes is just one of those bullets, and I'm sure they're all 9mm, to go right through her fucking head, and they'd all kill each other. Like, come on! That was the only part where I was kind of like, wait, really? That doesn't make any sense. Hitting the car, doing shit with motorcycles, I believe all that. Ninja kicking shit from like that part was the only part I was kind of like, no.
This is where the exaggeration in the movies first starts. You don't need 4 people to take one person out like that.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
the idea was to make her convinced that there's no escaping and to give her that last minute thought of, oh shit, I'm fucked. And then she's dead.
Yeah, can I get at it? Oh, nope. Okay, everyone's here. And John gets that at the end of the second movie, of course. But
Yeah.
Adrian Pilecki, I love her. Like one of
She's
my favorite
great,
roles
dude.
of hers was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where she plays Mockingbird. And they were supposed
Oh,
to
that's
give her,
right.
yeah, they were supposed to give her her own spin-off series. That got all fucked up. And she and the guy that played her ex-husband never got their own spin-off. And I was kind of like, but that was way more interesting than what S.H.I.E.L.D. turned out to be.
Yeah.
So that was kind of crap. I felt bad for her there, but she does some amazing shit in this movie. And the first thing she does is gross me the fuck out getting out of those goddamn handcuffs.
Dislocating the thumbs, yo.
It's gross. It's fucking disgusting. And
That'll
then
make most people cringe when they see that. For me, it's like, I've seen that in a few movies. It's okay.
I'm double jointed and But then
Understood.
she goes and kills the guy that Harry,
Right?
yeah, that was
Yeah.
babysitting her, and that's all he was doing. And she knew that he was leaving, that he was gonna, yeah, that
Housekeeping will find you. He did not mean like he was going to kill her. It was catch and release. It's like, I'm watching you, and then I release you when I'm checking out. Boom, done. End of story.
yeah, if you get out while I'm gone, that's your business. But she fucking gets out and kills the guy.
And housekeeping will find you, Harry.
Yeah, and I was like, wow.
That was some sick. That was brutal, dude.
That just shows that she loves to kill.
Yep.
But she's also not very good at it.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Is they didn't set her up all that great as being any sort of a badass. You just assume she is because she's in the Continental, and that's who basically stays there, are badasses. But that didn't work out for her this time.
The Continental, it's a romantic place. And I don't mean that like, take somebody on a date there. Like it's just cool. Like it's like anti-heroes hang out there, like this big anti-hero fucking hangout, like the bar on Deadpool.
Or the Happy Hours place in the Death Star in Star Wars. Kidding. Too soon. Star Wars is dead, yo.
If not, it will be soon. Anyway, those strikes are going to be fine.
Yep. Hey, everybody's got a soak to tune into.
But anyway, so yeah, I came out of this still enjoying the movie. It's a very fun flick, but I think this is Speed for the new millennium. Like Speed was
in a
an
good way or a
flick.
bad way?
The bad way. And not as bad as Speed. Like clearly the sequels did not get worse at all from what I understand.
No.
But it's like once you get all that action there's no suspense to it. There's no thrill. Like, sure, it's still cool, but you're not on the edge of your seat anymore. And I could be that way watching Rocky. Like, I know how Rocky's going to fucking end, but while I'm watching the movie during the match, I'm sitting there like, come on, get him, get him. And it's been 40 some years. This, it's like, it's kind of like Speed. It's like, well, okay, it's not really that impressive anymore. Or I thought it was more like this. I hope I don't have that same opinion of the second movie, because this one, again, completely fun, lacks a lot of violence in ways that it could be there. The gore is missing, and it's sorely missed for me. It would be more badass if it had that like arterial spray everywhere, I guess.
I can see what you're saying. I think they took lessons from this movie as they did the sequels, and they did more and included more and just went a little bit further. But when you're doing the first movie, you're just trying to make the best one movie you can. They clearly were not thinking like, oh yeah, we're setting this up for like a 5-film franchise and a TV show. Like, we got to make sure we get this right so we can get the rest of these done. No, they did these one at a time, and it shows. So clearly this movie was intended just to be one in and of itself. Then once you get to the second one, it's like, okay, maybe we could do a little more if this one works. So we'll kind of tease something for 3. And if we don't get there, we don't get there. Oh, hey, we're getting 3? Sweet. We're going to do 3. Then they go and they're like, hey, let's see how we could do a part 4. And if it makes sense, because it took them a couple years to get around to that, they did it, turned out great. Now they're looking at like the ballerina spinoff. I know you start hearing spinoffs, this, that, the other. Until we see it, we don't know. It could be okay. It could be bad. It could be great. We don't know until we actually see it on our screens. Now, we've seen teasers for the Continental TV show. They're interesting. We don't know how it's going to turn out until we see the very first episode. At first, you're like, I don't know about this tone. Don't know about this action. Don't know if I feel this. It's not, there's no John Wick in it. How well is it going to do without a John Wick in it? We don't know until we see it. I'm cautiously optimistic, like I am with most everything else. Unless you've proven me wrong for 4 shitty-ass movies. Clearly, these are not shitty-ass movies. Until we get there, we'll see. But like how they did this one movie by itself worked for me very well. But clearly, they took this as the starting point and they built upon it. That's how you should do movies. You learn from your mistakes. You make them better. Like, I feel like the score and the soundtrack in this movie is incredible. The cinematography is beyond beautiful. It gets even better every sequel after this. So I look at this as like, if this is like the starting point, like the pilot for the freaking franchise, you can't do much better. The only way to go is up from this. If this is ground level, and it is, sky's the limit, yo. And we got 3 more great movies out of this. So I understand what you're saying. I would have preferred a little more brutality myself. But like the Foley effects gave emphasis to the punches, to the kicks, to everything going on. Music, like I said, was outstanding. The world was incredible. But there was more room to grow. And I hate to say it, but I'm glad they waited till the sequels to do that. Too much of that in this first movie would have been overload. People wouldn't have taken to it, and this movie would have been 2.5 hours, and people going, you know, you had me for about an hour and 45 minutes. What was the other 45 minutes for? That was stupid. They didn't do that here. But to your point, I would have liked more brutality, would have liked a little more badassness, a little more gore, a little more realistic kind of violence. But we didn't get it, but it builds up to that. So maybe they're playing it safe the first one, maybe not. Who's to say? I don't know. I haven't really seen too many behind the scenes interviews or making ofs, but that's just my impression. But I still like it. Yeah, there's some drawbacks to the movie, but hey, what first movie in a franchise doesn't have some of that? And then other sequels make up for it.
That's true. And again, this franchise isn't like most action franchises where you're like, by the time you get to 3, I'm sure you're just like, you're burnt out to shit. No, each one of these. So the first two that I've seen leave you wanting to know what the hell's going to happen next. More so the second one than this one, but it leaves you wondering, and it leaves you wanting more. Again, most action flicks, you're like, oh well, that was fun. What else are we going to go do?
Yep.
This one's like, oh shit, and then you start talking about the movie, and then you start thinking about the movie and how it could go. What would you do? How would you write it? And that's what this type of movie is for, is to get people talking and excited and buzzed and go out to the theater, have fun, have fucking movie night with your friends and have fun.
Right.
That's what this one is. And that, again, that's what the original Speed was too. This is much smarter than Speed.
By a mile.
Yeah.
And I like the first Speed. I hate the second one though.
I won't watch the second one. I've never seen it and I won't watch it. Like I won't watch Exorcist 2 ever again, but at least I gave that one a shot.
You did try with that one.
Oh.
But like we're talking about, you know, the excitement for this movie is like, you know, it's been a few months since I've seen this, and I watched it. I was happy to watch it, but like just talking about it with you has just got me excited about getting into the next one again. And it's like, that's what you were just talking about. Like this movie gets you talking and you're like thinking about things and like, see, you know, what part is next to come and like, oh, hey, the action, this, the sound, that, the dialogue, this, the writing, that, the direction, this, you know, you just start going off and it's like, there's such a sense of fun to this that it pulls you in. And that's part of the charm of this franchise, in my opinion.
You mentioned the music, and to your point there, what makes the music perfect for this is that it's completely contradictory for what the scenes are happening.
I know.
It's like
at least most of the time.
Yeah, the bathhouse is the best example for that. It's almost like on Face Off, where they're playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow amidst this gigantic gun battle.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you've got this somewhat peaceful trance music to some amazing gun fu, and that's really the best way you could put this movie. Is like it's a gun fu type movie.
Yep.
Because he's beating the shit out of people and then shooting them. And this is the only action movie I've ever seen where everyone else has unlimited ammo except for the hero. Like John.
Well, and you constantly see him reload the weapon, and he does it so smoothly, and just enough time in between getting punched and him decking somebody, dropping a clip and pulling it back, reach hammering, and then shooting again.
Yeah, like it was all fluid motions like a kata for kung fu.
Goddamn choreography was just outstanding in this freaking movie.
Yeah, until you get to the big kill, where
the final boss.
Semi-final. I mean, you know, Vigo goes out like a big bitch, but this guy here, it was just a fucking dog. The fact that he got to kill him execution style, staring him straight in the eye, I like.
While he's screaming, it's just a fucking
what?
That's his last thought and visual is a gun in his face and screaming, it was just a fucking
what?
Man, I wish I was in the theater to experience this the first time with everybody else, because I know it wasn't like a massive hit initially, but like word of mouth got around and it just became, hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah, like I'm not sad that I need to like complete my collection finally, but I dig it. This movie's stupid in a lot of ways, where it's like, okay, everyone's shooting, there's no blood, people are wearing clothes in a bathhouse.
Boy, these guys are bad shots.
There's women in bathhouses
wearing bras.
That too.
Just saying. We're not sexist, yo. We're just saying. In a bathhouse, what are you wearing a bra for?
I mean, I got moobs, but I'm in my 40s, so
yeah, the push-ups don't work for you no more.
No more. I got more than the little A-tups. But it's stupid in a lot of ways, but it's okay. It's very aware of what it's doing. It's not slapstick. It's not really tongue-in-cheek at all. It's just
No.
constant action. And it doesn't make you go, oh, that's so unbelievable. That's not it at all, really. Like when he hits the guy with the car, that I don't think that was CG. I think they may have gotten somebody to be like, all right, now spin that fucking car real hard right here.
Well, with a lot of the professional drivers in Hollywood, for the most part, they can do what you ask them to within like a millimeter. But they got to try it a few times and get it ready to like block scene, do shots and everything. But for the most part, these drivers are so goddamn good. They can do what you want them to do. You want them to stop 6 inches from you, they'll probably get 5 and like 15th of a 16th inch that close if you need them to. They are that good. I mean, you get some shitty drivers, bad things are going to happen. But when they get like these stunt drivers in, they know what they're doing. And they're generally former race car drivers. Generally. Some are just very good drivers.
Unless it's an Alec Baldwin picture, then they're non-union and you're getting second drivers.
There might be a little corrosion on that one.
You know, you're going to hear a lot of things like, we're going to need another Timmy. No, but this was cool. You're right. The stunts were executed perfectly. Everything looked awesome. You didn't hear anything on the news like, well, we're having to stop production because, Keanu Reeves broke his leg doing this, and that. No, everyone was really careful. It was really well performed, like masterfully. This is probably the action franchise that the new millennium needed.
Oh, I agree.
More so than what we previously had towards at the beginning of the new millennium, which was Pirates of the Caribbean,
which was fine to start with.
The first movie, once it got a sequel, you're just kind of like, they were just
doing here
fighting for 30 minutes and there was no dialogue. Like, wow, nothing.
Now, full disclosure, I do like all the Pirates movies, but I will also be the first one to say the first Pirates movie is the best one.
Oh, sure.
By a mile.
But then you get into that whole love triangle thing that you don't like. I don't fucking like it. And you're just kind of like, oh, who's going to be a bigger pirate? Because I could fucking lie to you and I could lie to you more than you can lie to him. It's like, stop. Can we just blow shit up with cannons and stab people with swords and steal shit?
Yeah.
Didn't need the whole love aspect. But 0-Point reviews, John Wick.
I got my opinions on those. If we do those, maybe next year at some point, then we can get into that then. But we'll cover that at another time.
I had something I wanted you to watch for something for next year, and I didn't write it down, and I cannot remember what the hell it was for the life of me.
Yes!
You're welcome.
You'll remember it in the middle of the night and text me, and I'll be like in the morning, the fuck is he talking about? He wants me to watch this friggin' movie? Oh, God.
Superman 3? Why?
I'll watch Superman 3 over Superman 4 any day.
Yeah.
Quest for Peace, quest for hitting the eject button on my Blu-ray player.
Yeah, I didn't care for that flick at all. Like I remember seeing it in the theater and like, I know I'm supposed to like this. Hooray, there's Superman, but this is kind of dumb.
Hell, of all the 4 movie entries in a franchise we got, like between this, Alien, it has 4 movies, Predator's 4 or 5 now. You got how many of these franchises have done 4 entries and how many of them have really been all that great? Whereas this one, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, all excellent.
That's what I'm
Pirates
hearing.
couldn't do it, like you just brought up. Just saying. Alien couldn't do it either. Just saying.
I like the first 2 and the 4th Alien. The 3rd movie I don't really talk about much.
Neither does the director. Poor Fincher. This assembly cut is a better movie, but it's still, I don't think it's his real vision for that movie.
No, and neither was it the screenwriters.
Ooh, that's a double tap to the head on that one. John Wick taught us very well.
I can't wait to watch the second one tomorrow. Like, my wife's got a list for things for me to do, and I don't want to do
screw that shit.
I've got 2 episodes left to watch for Space Above and Beyond. It's kind of like, I want to watch John Wick 2. That's all I want to do is just watch that movie tomorrow for 6 hours.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited for that, but I'm excited to get to the third and the fourth, because again, the third was, I've been way overdue seeing it. I still haven't on my to-do list, and then you rave about the fourth movie, so it's like I need to get on that too.
Yeah, the fair warning on the third one, it's a 3-hour movie.
The third movie?
Yes.
Fuck.
And it does not feel like it either. So it's okay. I'm just giving you a heads up. That's a 3-hour movie.
Damn.
But it's really good.
So it's going to be 7 hours, 8 hours.
Somebody's not going to sleep that night.
No. Put a little toot in my root beer or some shit.
Add a little booze.
Booze won't wake me up. Well, it might.
Yeah.
Who knows? But no, this is cool. I like this franchise. This is, if you don't like superhero movies, John Wick is totally for you. If you're like a James Bond type fan, John Wick is for you. If you like horror movies, but not superhero movies, John Wick is for you.
Yeah, the body count is super high in this.
Well, not so much that. I mean, yes, obviously, but it's lore. John Wick, the first movie is built upon lore. Like, yep. you see the action later, but there's a lot of fear from these actors at the beginning of the film, and a lot of storytelling about who he is. Like you said at the beginning, like, you don't see that. And this, I 0-pointed again. I saw your face looking at me like, get to it.
I'm not looking like that. I'm just listening to you.
Oh, well.
I'm thinking I want another drink. Not water.
The toot in my root beer. It's not water. It's root beer, goddammit.
I've had enough to drink today.
Handcrafted. No. No, okay, I remember. The movie is built upon lore. So it's kind of like watching a horror film in the sense where it's like, you hear the backstory about how Freddy was before he was burned, or how Jason drowned and his mom went fucking crazy. This is similar in that regard, where he's got this name of the boogeyman, but then you hear the story that he's not exactly the boogeyman. He's the one that you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I liked about the first movie, the first half of the first movie. And I'm sure you don't see that much at the end. Parts 3 and 4.
To a point, yes and no, I would say. I mean, they assume you already have seen the first couple, but you don't need to have seen them. Like, this franchise is not built upon required viewing like other franchises are. So you can easily jump into part 4 and get caught up relatively quickly.
Really?
And so it's very nice in that regard. Clearly, if you watch them all in order, they make a little bit more sense. Things tie together better. Things are more explained, like adjudicators, things like that of that nature. Like the coins, everything is a lot more explained, and you get a lot more backstory filled in as they progress through the current story. But like I said, none of these are required viewing. But in my opinion, you have to watch the first one before you watch any of the others. Whether you see part 2 and 3 before you watch part 4, doesn't really matter. I'd still recommend you watch part 1 anyway, because it's a fine movie. And like you said, it matches up well with the current modern day action franchises that all of them should strive to be more like. Mission Impossible. You got the Equalizer 3 that just came out with Denzel, which is apparently really good. They did kind of a adjacent franchise with Bob Odenkirk, which by itself is a really good, fun movie too. And, there's a lot of good franchises out there that are putting out sequels that some of them are turning a profit for no reason. From what I've been told, the new Mission Impossible movie is really good, but it's just not showing at the box office. But the new Equalizer movie is making bank, and John Wick 4 earlier this year did exceedingly well as well.
I didn't see the second one, but the first Equalizer was amazing. Like,
I still haven't seen those. So if y'all think I need to get around to watching those and us covering them, put that comment below.
The Equalizer is on par with John Wick.
Okay.
Yeah. Denzel's really fucking cool.
I love Denzel. Isn't that Antoine Fuqua who does those movies, is directing those? Because he did Training Day with Denzel.
It was either that or Man on Fire. I don't remember. But Man on Fire.
I haven't seen that one either.
That's a dope flick. Christopher Walken gives a good speech in that movie.
I've heard that one's really, really good.
Yeah, and
all right, I'm writing those down. I'm gonna listen to those.
There's 2 more residual checks for Denzel.
All 2 cents of it.
Oh my God!
Bad joke. Love you,
No,
Dana.
no, it's not a joke. It's not a fucking joke at all. Like, Dana's mentioned that. Mary Jo has mentioned that.
A lot of them have, yeah.
Rebecca, even for the residuals that they get for the season 11 of MST on Netflix since 007. Like, ha ha ha, it's 007, but 7 cents, y'all. That's not right.
Yeah.
That's going to be a whole other show.
Yep.
That's a side show.
Hey, if you guys want to hear us talk about topics like that, put a comment below. We are toying with that idea of doing another sort of show.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else for us before we wrap it up?
Other than John Wick will return next week.
Ooh.
John Wicker.
Nothing's quicker than John Wicker.
Like, right. I like the dog for the next one. I like Pities. So
I did like how they done it with him getting another dog, even though he kind of stole the dog. I'm like, that's not how you get a dog, dude.
It would have been put down. I mean, yeah, he was there for Special K and to close himself up, which stapling yourself is goddamn.
First time I saw that, I was like, oh God, I don't like that.
Well, it's like you said, the Foley, you're like, ah.
At least he didn't use some stupid staple gun from like Home Depot or something. I feel like I'm watching a wrestling hardcore death match at that point. And I've seen those, so I'm not just joking about that. I've seen that shit where they staple lips shut. It's sick. Just saying. And you're welcome for that visual, everybody.
Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yeah. It's bad. I don't like those kind of matches.
I'd rather watch a snuff film. That's disgusting.
Just sit back, relax, and watch another John Wick film.
Another John Wick film. I think I will. So, all right.
Well, thank you, all of our fellow screamers, for checking out John Wick Chapter 1. I'm calling it Chapter 1 this go around. And we'll see you next time for John Wick Chapter 2. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you know when we got our new content. We have our regularly scheduled content that comes out every Tuesdays and Fridays, but we are dropping reviews and other things during the week, so make sure you hit that bell. Help us get to 250 before we get to October. That's one of our anniversaries for us, and we would love to hit that. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.